You say yes when you don't want to, not because you don't know how to say no, but because saying no feels like it's going to cost you something, cost you approval, or maybe cost you peace, cost you the relationship, or maybe causes you to miss out on something. And because of that, you don't set clear boundaries. And when you don't set clear boundaries, people don't know where they are. So they cross them. And it will usually show up in the same areas, either your time or your emotions, your money, your values, your space, or maybe your family. These are the main places where boundaries matter. And if you don't define them clearly enough, they will get defined for you. So let's go through them properly. Not just what they are, but what happens when they're missing, and actual things you can say to introduce or to set or just to reinforce your boundaries. And before we go into each one, this is important because not all boundaries work the same way. Some boundaries should be respected immediately with no discussion or no repetition. If you say something like, don't touch me like that, or don't touch me there, or I'm not comfortable with that, or step away, that should be it. If someone ignores that, it's not just them adjusting to your boundary, it's them choosing to ignore it. And that's a completely different problem entirely. But there are other boundaries where you're not dealing with a single moment or a particular moment. You're dealing with a pattern or a theme of how people speak to you or how much access they get to your time, what role you play in their life. And if you've spent years saying yes, people get used to that version of you. So when you change it, they always don't get it straight away or adjust straight away. Not necessarily because they're bad, but because the pattern hasn't changed in their eyes yet. And this is where consistency matters. And I don't mean repeating yourself endlessly. I mean just reinforcing the same specific line or boundary. Say it calmly, clearly, without changing it. Because over time, people don't really just hear what you say. They learn to see what you actually stick to, which is the more important reinforcement. And if they still don't respect it, then that tells you something very important. That's not a boundary problem anymore. It's a relationship problem. And this is important to understand as well. There are different boundary styles. Some people have weak boundaries and they'll say yes too quickly to something. They overgive or they overshare. And then they struggle to pull back. And some people have rigid boundaries. Everything is shut down. There's no flexibility or no openness. And relationships will start to feel like distant. See, the goal here shouldn't be to be part of either extreme. The goal should be to have clear, consistent, flexible when they need to be boundaries, to know your limits and to be able to communicate them and adjust when needed. So let's go through the main areas where these actually show up. Family boundaries are usually the hardest to set because you've been around these people your whole life. There are expectations, patterns, unspoken rules. So instead of choosing how you actually want to respond, you default to what you're used to. You get pulled into arguments that are not yours, and you get asked questions that you don't want to answer. You might feel responsible for keeping the peace. And if you don't set a boundary here, that becomes your role, the middle person or the fixer, the one who simply doesn't push back. So instead of explaining it emotionally, just make it clear. Say things like, I'm not getting involved in this. If you have something to say it to them directly. Or something like, I've already shared my thoughts on this. I'm not going to keep going over it again. Or I'm not comfortable being put in the middle of this. Please leave me out of it. That's a boundary. It's not aggressive. It's clear. Next are time boundaries. This is where you lose control of your day. You say yes to things you don't have time for. You stay longer than you wanted to or planned to. You agree to things out of pressure, not choice. and your time stops feeling like it's yours. So instead of leaving it open, you define it. You say something like, I can come, but I need to leave at 3. Or something like, I don't have capacity for that this week. Or I won't be able to take that on right now. No long explanation, no over justifying, just clear limits. Now, emotional boundaries are about what you take on and what you don't. If you don't have these, you end up absorbing everything, other people's stress or other people's problems, other people's reactions, even. And over time, you end up feeling overwhelmed, even when nothing actually in your life has changed. It's because you end up carrying more than what's actually yours. So separate it, not coldly, just clearly. You can say, I understand this is important to you, but I can't take this on right now. Or I am here to listen, but I'm not in a position to fix this for you. Or I care about you, but I need to protect my own headspace at the moment. You're still showing that you're present. You're just showing that you're not responsible for everything. Financial and material boundaries are often where people will feel the most pressure. Things like lending money or paying for things. You say yes because it simply feels awkward to say no. And if you don't set a limit here, it then becomes expected, which exacerbates the problem. This is also where resentment builds, not because you're selfish, but because you didn't define the line. So instead of avoiding it, you have to say it directly. I'm not able to lend money right now. Or I'm being careful with my finances at the moment. Or I'm not in a position to help financially. You don't need to explain your bank account. You just need to be clear. Next, we have moral, intellectual, and belief boundaries. These are about your values, what you agree with and what you don't, and what conversations you're willing to have. If you don't set these, you'll end up being pulled into debates that you've no interest in or go nowhere. And you end up feeling pressure to justify yourself. Or you end up staying quiet because you don't agree, just to avoid conflict. So you define the limit. You say something like, I respect your view or your beliefs, but they are not the same with mine, or they don't align with mine, and I'm not going to debate it. Or we've talked about this before, and I still don't think we're going to end up seeing it the same way, or eye to eye. Or I'm not interested in getting into this conversation again. That's enough. You don't need to win the conversation. These are just things you can say to step out of it completely. Now we have physical and personal space boundaries. These are some of the most important, the most basic, but still the most ignored. This is about your body, your personal space, your comfort. And if you don't express it, they'll end up getting overridden, even if they shouldn't. So you make it clear, don't do that. Or I'm not comfortable with that. Or please give me some space. Short, direct, and absolutely no apology attached. You shouldn't have to explain yourself. So if setting boundaries is something that you struggle with, don't try to fix everything at once. Pick one area or one situation or one sentence or one word and use it. Because once you start actually defining your boundaries, your own behavior will change first. And then the patterns around you will change. And then the relationships around you will start to adjust as well. And then the situations that used to drain you stop showing up the same way and stop having the same impact on you. And that's exactly what clear boundaries should actually do. They set clear limits that people simply can't ignore. And if they still ignore them, then that highlights a much bigger problem. If you enjoyed this video or got anything out of it, please like it. If you'd like to see more content like this, please subscribe. I would really appreciate it. My name is John. You're welcome to be here, and you're more than welcome to stay here. Boundaries. They're so important.